Hi, I'm Alexandria Solar, and I plan to inform you of my concerns of the desensitization of today's youth through the portrayals of violence and stereotyping in modern day cartoons. W. James Potter talks about children as a special audience in the 7th edition of his book Media Literacy. Due to children being at a lower level of development, many professionals argue that children should be protected from some of the aggressive aspects of media. Although there are many regulations that are meant to do so, some of the television content that is often overlooked by adults could leave a lasting impression on today's youth. Considering that more families in America own a television than a telephone, it is one of the most powerful influences on the health and behavior of children. Cartoons often express complex social messages that young viewers may learn and carry into their adult lives. FCC Commissioner Nicholas Johnson made a statement saying, "All television is educational. The only question is, what is it teaching?" The content of cartoons is most often overlooked by adults, which is cause for concern about the media's role in the desensitization of today's youth. Very young children often have trouble distinguishing fantasy from reality. Therefore, they adopt the idea that is presented in the cartoons. According to an estimate by the American Academy of Pediatrics, the average child will have witnessed nearly 100,000 acts of violence before the age of 18. Primetime television includes an average of 8 to 12 acts of violence per an episode, and children's cartoons are to be considered one of the most violent. Some of these aspects are not recognized as violent by many adults, but may dull a child's aversion to these actions. Superheroes are often rewarded for carrying out violent acts, which endorses the use of violence in conflict resolution. Heroic violence is justified as patriotism in cartoons that originate from comic book characters. Because violence is presented as a quick fix in media, the probability that violence will be the first strategy chosen by a child increases. In cartoons, non-white characters are often portrayed as villains, which advocates the stereotype that suggests minorities are dangerous. Content in which should be interpreted as empowering to young girls can also be considered as challenging gender roles through acts of violence. Cartoons are often conquered by dominant male characters. Females generally perform lower status jobs if they're even holding a job at all. They frequently need to be rescued, are depicted as being less intelligent than their male co-characters, and tend to fall in love at first sight. In classic era animated films, Disney princesses are all beautiful and young, and they share with one another kindness, innocence, and nurturing natures that contrast them to the antagonist characters who seek to destroy them. Therefore, Disney movies are often creating a portrayal that women are either young, innocent, beautiful, and kind, or old, evil, selfish, and ugly. In fact, most of these movies play on the resentment that older women feel towards younger, beautiful women. The resolution of classic Disney stories most commonly relies on the rescuing of a princess by her prince. This plot continues to perpetuate heterosexual monogamy as socially desirable. Through Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Disney depicts women as caretakers of men's needs in the domestic domain and promotes the stereotype of men as protectors and rescuers of women. In conclusion, many studies show that although many adults may not recognize it, today's youth is being shaped by subliminal messages depicted throughout cartoons. It is important that parents pay attention to what their children are consuming and help them to understand the differences between fantasy and reality, so that these entertaining yet inappropriate actions aren't transferred from television screen to real life.